Hi everybody, this is Virginia Milner. I am coming to you with another tutorial for the DeKalb County Library System. And anybody that has seen any of my videos knows that I work a lot with color. But I know so many people who like neutrals that I decided to do something neutral. Please forgive my camera. I just got it situated where the way I wanted it. So it's like in my face. But anyway, I know so many people that like neutrals, and we're coming into the winter months, so you might want to play down some of the color today. This is not going to happen repeatedly because I just love lots of color. But today we're going to be doing a piece that is in neutrals. We're going to be working with wood, pine wood, and it's in a nice oblong shape. Come back. And we're also going to be working with a couple of videos ago, we did a bracelet that featured lava beads, and they're beautiful. And I got a bunch of lava beads in different shapes than your usual, just nice, cute little round ones. I got all different shapes, but they were too big to use for a bracelet. And I said, we will come back to these and we will use them to make a necklace. Today is the day. So we're going to be using, I'm calling this all natural elegance, except for the wire, of course. So we're going to be doing wood and lava beads and some nice wire work. And so we're going to make this nice necklace, and the lava beads will be a drop down the front. It's going to be a little bit different. I'm using some elements that I've just kind of fallen in love with recently, particularly this wrap, which is a funnel wrap. I really, really, really like it. I think it's very pretty, and we're going to be doing that. And I had seen some people use that wrap, and I use it as a link, single, like a jump ring type link with the wrap on it. I saw somebody do a double loop, but they just put that wrap on one side, and I thought, well, why not put it on both sides? And I did that for the back loop of a clasp. So I did that, but it was only on the clasp, and I thought it was so pretty that I thought, well, wouldn't that make the neatest links? And so that's what we're going to do. I'm calling it my hourglass funnel link. I just made that up. Don't let anybody tell you different. So we'll be making these hourglass funnel links. Let me see if I can get a better. There we go. And we will be also be using that wrap on our beads. And we'll be using it on our focal piece. Focal pieces as the drop down the front. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to put all of that together. I'm going to show you how to do these wraps. We're going to put it together and we're going to make it into our very own statement piece. And those of you who get kits will get what shape is this? It's just oblong, not oblong, but rectangular wood beads, and you'll get the lava beads in different shapes. I have these really pretty, not square, rectangle, and they're really, really big. And then I have these barrel shaped ones, and then I have your traditional round ones. And I thought, got to do something with that. So that's what we're going to do today. We have quite a number of moving parts going here. So let's get started so that we can let's just get this show on the road. So the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is the wrap for your bead. I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to show you how to do a wrap for your bead, the funnel wrap, which I think I can get a nice closer look here. And we're going to do this wrap on both sides. Get this to focus a little better. Apparently not, it doesn't want to. Here we go. I think that's better. So we're going to do that on both sides of our bead. So we're going to start there. And what we need today is round nose pliers, flat or chain nose pliers, and cutters. We also need a ruler to measure everything out. And we need 24 gauge wires to create our wraps for our beads and our links. Here's our little link. Get a closer look at that. Isn't that cute? And we're using 24 gauge for that and to wrap our bead. Now for the drop down the front, we're going to use 20 gauge because I really want it to pop and stand out. We're also going to be making our own clasp. Now our clasp we're going to be doing a little bit differently because we're going to use that. We're going to fasten it in the front. We're going to use that to fasten onto our drop and attach it to our chain, our wood chain necklace. So we're also adding that wrap to our clasp. Neat, huh? We're going to be wrapping like crazy. So for the clasp and our large beads, we'll be using 20 gauge wire. Or I guess I should say our focus beads, because we have one little bead too. We're also using 20 gauge for that. And we're going to make a nice little spiral on the bottom with our little wrap on the top. And for everything else, 24 gauge wire. So let's start with our bead wrap. And for that, what you want to do is make sure you have at least 3 to 3.5 inches of wire to create your loop and your wrap on each side of your bead. So that's a good 7 inches of wire just for the wraps. And then you need to add whatever it is, whatever your size of bead is. In this case, mine is almost 1/2 inch. So I'm going to give myself 8 inches of wire for my bead wrap. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure out my 3.5 inches. And take my pliers. I bend it back a little bit because then that way, when I make my loop, it will be at the top here of my extended wire, that extended wire was going to be holding my bead. So I'm going to take my pliers, and I want a good sized loop because I want to be able to really make a nice wrap on top. So I'm going to take my pliers, my wire, and I'm going to slide it down about 3/4 of the way down my pliers. And this is very relative. It depends on how big you want your loop to be. So I'm going to go wrap that around my pliers and take a look and see if that looks like it's going to be big enough. Yes. So I'm going to wrap it around as far as I can. And now you can see I only have a kind of a teardrop shape. It's not round yet. So I turn my pliers until they're on top of my wire and my wire's hanging down. And then I continue my loop until it's all the way under my pliers. And I have a nice loop here. Just want to make sure it's nice and round. So the first thing I'm going to do is create my first wrap. So I want to take my pliers and just hold on to my loop and start my wrap around the bottom one time. And then, you know how you usually wrap around the stem? We're going to be wrapping up the loop towards the top. So just nice and easy. You don't want to pull it, because if you pull it, you're going to squeeze your loop in, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that it's nice and open. So I'm just kind of bending my wire around and over my loop. I want to make sure my wires are nice and close together. And if you want to, you can turn it, make sure it's going where you want it to go, and then wrap, and then turn it again. And just watch your progress. And get a nice wrap in there. Until you get as far up as you want to get. Now this is fine. I can stop there. And then when you get it as far as you want to go, you're going to cut the tail off right in the middle. Right in the middle of, I'm just making some adjustments. Right there in the middle of my loop. So I'm going to take my clippers. I like to block it off so I don't accidentally cut one of my other wraps and then cry. So I like to block it off with my fingernail. Kind of separate it from the others. So there's no possible way that I'll cut the wrong ones. Hold on to that tail, clip it off. And then I'm going to push that end down into my funnel. I find an easy way to do it is to take this little tail with my pliers and curl it under so that it's heading down in the direction that I want it to go, and then push it down. And you can use your flat pliers. It's probably easier than trying to use the tip of your round pliers because it's going to fight you. So just take your flat pliers, and if you have needle nose pliers, even better. And just push that down into the funnel, right in between the two wraps. Get down in there. There we go. And then you can take your pliers and kind of make any adjustments that you want. Just kind of neaten it up a little bit so that the wires are nice and side by side. And there we go. There's our funnel wrap. Neat, huh? Okay. And now, I'm going to watch the clock so that I don't go crazy and keep you here forever. And now I put my bead on. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I want to make sure that my funnel wrap is going in the same direction. My loop is going in the same direction. So I'm going to bend it back again at almost a right angle, not quite. So that's going to be going, wrapping in the same direction. Take my pliers, slide it down about, for me, 3/4 of the way down. That's how big I want my loop to be. Wrap my wire around and down the side here. That's as far as I can go. So I'm going to turn my pliers up, clamp down again, and bring my wire all the way underneath my pliers, between my pliers and my bead. And I'm going to grab the side of my loop, the front and back of my loop, I guess I should say. Wrap one time around the bottom of the loop, and then continue to wrap up the face of my bead, of my wire. Keep wrapping. And again, you can turn it so that you can watch. Make sure your wires are going the way you want them to go. Push them together. Fold it down over. Turn it again. And I think that's enough. Yes. So now I'm going to tuck that in. Got a little left over on this one. So I want to tuck my wire down again inside of my little funnel. Separate it from the other wire so I don't clip something I don't want to clip. Cut that off right in the middle of my loop. Get this little neatness here. Trying to curl my end in the direction that I want it to go, which is down into my funnel. I find that easier. It's easier if I curve it than if I have it sticking straight out and then I'm trying to push it down in. That's just my trick. It's nothing technical. I can clip that a little bit more. It's not quite halfway. It's not quite in the middle. Okay, now let's push it down in there. Here we go. Okay, let's neaten my wires up a little bit. And there's my wrap. There's my funnel wrapped bead. Here we go. One down. So now it's time for us to do our little double or little hourglass. So again, I'm going to need about, and it depends on what size you want. I just want a small link. So I'm going to use another 8 inches of wire for my link. Eight inches. Okay. And I'm going to go right in the middle. 4 inches. I'm going to grab my pliers, slide my wire about 3/4 of the way down again. And I'm going to take one end of my wire, bring it around into a loop, like so. And you can see at this point, I brought it around as far as I can go. And it's still only a teardrop shape. So I need to turn my pliers. And continue my wrap until both of my wires are going in opposite directions. This is the one I wrapped. And now we're going to wrap the other one for the other half. So there's my first loop. Here's my wire. It's on the top. Then I'm going to go to the other wire right there in the little V. Slide it down to my 3/4, my 3/4 of the way place on my pliers. Take my other end, my other tail, and I'm going to wrap it around underneath the other one. So this one's on top, this one goes underneath as far as I can get it. Turn my pliers, wrap it the rest of the way until I have kind of a figure 8. And now this is a little further apart than I want it. So I'm going to roll this down until it meets the other wire. So now I have a nice little figure 8. One on top, one wire on the top, one on the bottom. And we're ready to make our double link. So what I'm going to do, in order to make this, I don't want, if I close it up like this, I need to use a jump ring in order to attach it. I want to attach it directly to my link, directly to my bead. So what I'm going to do is slide one bead on. Get in there. And slide it down into one of the open loops. And then the other bead, which is already on my chain, down the other, let's see, that's one. That one's down, yeah, this one, into that link. And then I'm going to slide the other one down the other wire and into the other loop. And now I'm ready to wrap. So what I need to do is take my pliers, and the tail that's extending from this loop is going to wrap around the other loop. So I want to take my pliers and hold on to my loop. You don't have to hold on too tight. And if you have like coated pliers or something, you can use them for this. If you're afraid that you'll grip so hard that you'll kind of ruin the finish on your wire, you can use these dipped pliers. And again, the wire that's extending from this loop is going to wrap around the opposite loop. So I'm going to wrap it around the bottom one time, just like we did with the bead. And then we're going to wrap it up the loop, just like we did with our bead wrap. Try to keep my hands out of the way. Just wrapping that front and back of the bead of the loop. And I'm making sure that I keep my wires nice and side by side. Flip it over and see what's going on back there. Push them together a little bit better. And I think that's enough for the one side of my wrap. Ready? So I'm going to clip it off back here, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my bead wrap. Just clip it off right in the center of my loop. And pliers, give it a little twist and push it down in the funnel. Here we go. There's one half. And then we're going to go to the other one. So this is the tail that's coming from the loop that we already wrapped. So we're going to wrap that one around the other loop. Wrap it around the bottom one time, and then continue to wrap around my loop, going up towards the top. See what's going on in the back there. Okay, there we go. And let's end this in the back here. And neaten my wires up a little bit. Push them together. There we go. And now there we go, nice and neat. Clip it off in the back, just like we did the others. Tweak before I cut it. Just curl it under a little bit. Cut it right there in the center of my ring, just like I did before. You can make it a little shorter not quite in the center. And if I have a tail this short, there's no way I can hold on to it. I like to put it down in a little well of some kind. Oh, it still popped. And usually it'll pop down inside, but it's not cooperating with me today. So, okay, so now we've got that. Push this down inside. My funnel. See if I need to neaten anything up. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. And there we have her. Isn't that pretty? Let's do this one more time. Start down just a little bit there. Okay, let's do one more just so we have it. So I need 8 inches for my link here. Go down to the halfway mark for me, which is 4 inches. Make a nice little loop with my round pliers, please. Slide it down for me 3/4 of the way down. Bring my wire around as far as I can go over the one half of my pliers. Turn it, bring it the rest of the way around until both of my tails are going out in opposite directions. This is the one that I did just now. So I'm going to go over here and do the other one. Slide that underneath, clamp down on my wire. And this one I'm going to bring around and under. This tail is on top. This tail is going to go underneath. There. Open, close, bring it around the rest of the way. And again, if there's a gap between your rings, like there is here, I'm just gonna roll it down until my rings meet. And I want to make sure that my rings are the same size or as close as I can get. And there we go. The beginnings of my hourglass. So once again, I'm going to attach them. Now I'm attaching the back of my chain. So I'm going to slide one bead ring down inside the open ring of my link and take the other side, the other bead, slide it down the other tail into the other open ring, like that. Take my pliers, hold on to one of my rings. I'm going to wrap this one. This one's on top. So I'm going to grab the top of my ring, and I'm going to show you another way to do this. So I've got my everything, I'm holding everything. I'm going to wrap around the bottom of my ring one time, and then I'm going to continue my wrap up my loop, just like before. And I'm going to give myself a couple of nice wraps. And then I'm going to stop. And I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to start the other side. And I'm doing that because I think it makes it easier than if you're trying to find a space to hold on to when you're doing the other side. If you can go ahead and get it started, oops, wrong way. if you can go ahead and get it started, you have a little something to hold on to. So I'll do one part of one, go to the other one, and do it a couple of times. Isn't that great? I'm going to flip back again. Oops. And continue working on the other side. Because see, you have very little space in here. So it's easier if I start one and then go to the other one where I have more room. Let me see how the others look. Yes. Flip it over, do a couple more wraps on the other one. I think that's good. Give this one more wrap. Push those together. I can see it's a little separated back there. Wrap that around. And we're good. Nice. Squeeze my rings a little bit so that they're all laying together nicely. And I'm ready to finish it off. Okay, let's clip it off right there in the center, just like before. And let's push that little tail down. And to my funnel. This is soft enough wire, so you may even be able to push it down with your fingernail, but I'm using the pliers. There's one. Nice and neat. Flip it over. Let's see. I've got a little separation back here. Let's do something about that. And let's do the other one. Clippers, clippers, clippers. Clip that off in the center here. Where is it? Oh my goodness, I lost it. Where'd you go? Oh, there it is. So nicely conforming that I couldn't even find it. Okay, let's push that down. Inside my little funnel. And there we go. Isn't that cute? So now we have our chain. Let's finish it off with our focal pieces. And again, the chain, this is going around the back and it's going to hook up in the front. So that's just our little trick for today. All right, so now we're going to do our focal pieces. This one's already done. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to wrap it with our little funnel. It sort of looks Egyptian, doesn't it? To me, looks like a little pyramid. Oh, neat. Okay, so let's start with that. Let's make our own other little funnel. And for these, we're using 20 gauge wire. We're moving to 20 gauge. So you want to make sure you have at least for this, because we're using larger wire. I like to give myself a good, again, 3.5, instead of 3 to 3.5, 3.5 to 4 inches on each side. And then you want to add in however much you need for your bead. My bead is almost a little over 1/2 inch, about 5/8 of an inch. So that's going to be, I'm going to give it 8.5 inches for my big bead. 8.5. Yeah. Okay. That's actually, you know what? That's wrong. I didn't need that much because we're only wrapping the top. So I only need about 3.5 to 4 inches for this side. For the other side, I only need about 1/2 inch because I'm making a simple loop to connect. So I only need 4 inches plus 1 inch for this in the ring. So I only really needed 5 inches. Now I'm going to have to find something else to do with the rest of my wire. I'll figure it out. It's long enough, fortunately, so I should be able to do something with it. So I'm going to give myself 5 inches. Start with my loop. So I'm going to just go down about halfway down, a little less than halfway down my pliers, because I'm just making a simple loop for to connect. I'm going to wrap until I have a full circle. There we go. And I like my loop to actually rest on top of my wire. So I'll take the tip of my pliers and bend that loop back until it's on top of my wire. So there's my loop on top, right in this, nicely centered on the tail of my wire. There. So now we're going to the wrap. So I'm going to put my bead on. And I want a nice sized loop at the top. So I'm going to use my pliers just to get the idea of a loop, but then I'm going to shape it with my fingers. And I want my loop, my loop on top to go in the opposite direction of my connection loop down here. So this is going to go, one goes left to right and one goes front to back. Let's just put it like that. Okay. So I'm going to slide down all the way to the base of my pliers, just so I can get a start of a loop here. And I'm going to finish it off with my fingers. Just wanted to get a nice curve going. Make sure it's going the right way. And I could use a pen or a pencil if you wanted to use a pen or ink pen or something like that in order to shape it. Might be easier than doing it with your fingers if your wire is not very soft. Okay, make sure I'm going the right direction, front and back to right and left. There we go. So there's my loop. Make sure it's nicely centered on top. And now I'm going to wrap, just like I did with the other ones. Wrap it once around the bottom, and then start climbing up the loop towards the top. And I can turn, make sure it looks like it's going the way I want it to go. Neaten it up a little bit along the way. Oops, come back here. And then when I finish, just bring that tail around. Just bring it around and tuck it under. If you have enough, I don't have enough to tuck it down inside. I'm just going to tuck it around. I do. I have a little bit. Tuck it around my ring here. If I can get it down in here, I will. There, yes. It'll go down in there. Here we go. And there is my wrap. And I want to make sure that they're going in the right direction, right to left, front to back, so that when I connect it, both of my wraps will show. There we go. And that's how you do that. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is this wrap. It's the same thing on top, and we're just going to put a little spiral on the bottom. So, oh, you know what? I wonder if I have enough here. Yes, there we go. That little excess piece that I had there. We only need about 3.5 to 4 inches, and that's what this is. Yay! So let's go ahead and take our little tiny, I think this is about 6 or 8 millimeters, 6 millimeter lava bead. And the first thing I'm going to make is my spiral. Because I need about 2.5 inches or so to make my little loop up here. It's going to be a lot smaller than the others. So I'm going to make my little spiral, and the spiral does not have to be, it shouldn't be bigger than your bead. It should be about the same size, but not bigger. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a tiny little loop with the tip of my pliers, as small as I can make it, like so. And then I'm going to take my flat pliers, and you can use these, or you can use, I like these a little bit better because trying to use these, they slip a little bit. It doesn't want to work. So just grip your loop and start making a spiral. And all you're doing is wrapping your wire around itself. And you don't want to grip too hard, because you can see where I just gripped a little too hard and I lost some of the finish on my little wire. So just give it a light grip right in the center of your, if you do it right in the center of your pliers, that's where your grip is the strongest, and you don't have to squeeze it as hard. Then you don't run the risk of damaging your wire. And again, it doesn't need to be any bigger than your bead. So that's that. And then what I want to do, see how this is kind of leaning over to the side here? I want to fold it back, just bend it back until the tail is right in the center of my loop. We're as close to center as you can get. Then when you put it on your bead, see these lava beads, they have so many little holes in them. It's hard to find the hole that's drilled. There it is. I can see the light through it. I can see the light. Then when I slide it down, it's nicely centered on my bead. So now it's time to make my little loop. For this one, it doesn't need to be too big, certainly no bigger than your bead. So I'm going to slide it down about, I'm going to go 3/4 of the way, just like I did with my links. 3/4 of the way down. Make a loop as far as I can go around, then turn my pliers, bring it the rest of the way around under my pliers and on top of my bead. Nice little loop. And I'm going to grab the side or the front and the back of my loop, wrap it around the bottom just like we did all the other times, and up the face of my loop. And just enough so that you can see the little funnel action going there. Look at that, I had just enough. Awesome. Neaten that up a little bit. Bring that around. Very good. Clip that off right in the middle of my loop, in the center of my loop. And push it down into my funnel. Use these. There we go. Neaten it up a little bit. Straighten everything out. And there it is. Isn't that cute? And now all we need to do is put these together and make our clasp. That's the last thing. So we're going to take our pliers and just open our little simple loop. Open it up on the side there. I'm going to attach, and you can attach them any way you want. I wanted to put the little one on the bottom because it kind of got lost when I tried to put it in the center. And add the one on the bottom. There we go. Close it up. Awesome. And now we are ready to make our clasp. Clasp is going to look like that. And we're going to use the 20 gauge wire. For that, we need about 5 inches because I didn't want it to be a huge shepherd's hook, just enough to clasp this and still be pretty. So I need about 4 inches for my wrap down here, and another inch and an eighth or so for my shepherd's hook. So I'm going to give myself 5.5 inches, just so I have plenty. And if I have to cut some off, I will cut it off. I want to make sure I have enough. Okay, 5.5. And the first thing I'm going to make is my shepherd's hook. And the way I do that, take my pliers right there at the tip of my pliers, grab the tip of my wire and make a tiny little loop, just like we did with our spiral. Except at this time, we're only going to go 3/4 of the way around. We're not going to completely close it. And once we've got to our 3/4, we're going to take our flat pliers and we're going to squeeze it down into a little nub. And you have to be very patient with yourself with this. You just squeeze it a little bit at a time, because if you don't, you can ruin the form of your loop. So just a little bit at a time until it's all nicely closed up into a little nub. And now I'm going to make the shepherd's hook. So I'm going to take my pliers. I'm going to go back to the very back of my pliers with my wire. This, I call the bottom, the part with the opening on it. This is the bottom. And then I've got, this is the top. And I'm going to curve my pliers around toward the top until I have a shepherd's hook. Now it's time to make our nice little decorative funnel. Now I want my funnel, again, just like we did with our beads, our connectors. I want my hook to go in the opposite direction as my wrap, so that when it hooks, you have the wrap showing where everybody can see your work. So this is going for me, front to back. And my wrap is going to be going up and down or left and right. I don't know if that translates on camera, but just opposite directions. So what I'm going to do is take my pliers right here at the base of my shepherd's hook, and I'm going to make a loop. I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way down and make a loop. And again, I'm going in the opposite direction of my shepherd's hook. Now you can tell what I'm talking about. I'm going to bend, go in with the tip of my pliers and bend my loop back until it's right in the center of my shepherd's hook. So there's my shepherd's hook and there's my loop. And now we want to do our wrap. But first, before we do that, we have to attach it to the other side of our chain. So just like we did with our links, I'm going to slide the loop, the closed loop from our bead inside our open loop of our clasp. I'm going to grab, I'm going to grab my loop, wrap my wire around the bottom, and again continue up my loop until I have my nice funnel wrap. Forgive my hands. I know they're in the way. And I just want to wrap it enough so that you can see the design, but not enough so that I don't have movement with my beads. And I have to fidget around my beads in order to get to the wrapping part. Okay, I think that's good. Very nice. Finish that up on this side. Still plenty of movement in there. Okay. And we are ready to clip. Right in the center of my loop, just like before. Move everything else out of the way so that I don't clip anything I don't want to clip. Ooh, good. That's long enough so that I can use it for something. I always like that. All right. And let's tuck that down inside my funnel. Good, it went. And let's neaten up those wires. And there we have it. There's our hook. Neat, huh? I love it. And let's put it all together. Let's make it a necklace. And all we do is hook it on. I like to have my hooks. I like to have the loop part of my hook all the way to the back of my hook so I don't have to worry about this sliding out before I want it to. I like to be able to snap it in and then snap it out myself. without worrying about it sliding. So I just hook those in there. And there we have it. There's our necklace. Isn't that awesome? Neat, huh? Just something a little different. Nice and neutral for my neutral fans. It'll be great in the wintertime. Let me see if we can get a full view of you. Not looking at everything else on my table. Get back on there. There. There it is. That is quite pretty. And I love all of these different elements that we threw in here. Nice. Let's take a look at it on the big screen on the display. There it is. There's our masterpiece. I love it. All of my neutral loving friends, I hope you like this. I think it's great. I think it'll go with just about, well, it'll go with everything because it's a neutral. I mean, we have our black and our beige, brown, taupe, every ivory, every neutral shade in the book is in this necklace. And it is, I think it's quite stunning. We've got all of our elements. We've got some nice, some really nice connectors, if I must say so myself. So anyway, that's our piece for the day. I think this really makes a nice statement. It'll go with just about anything, I think, in your closet because they are neutral shades. And so I hope you like this. Please let me know what you thought about the our project today and about the video. Let me know if you have any feedback on anything that you might not have caught or understood in my instructions. And I hope to see you again, or I hope you see me again. And until you do, have a great week. Enjoy the rest of your week, wherever you are in the week. Have a great weekend. Stay safe as always, and so long.